Ladies and gentlemen, I need you to look me in the eyes right now. I have a question for you. Are you a red flag? Yes, are you a red flag? Let's. Are you a walking red flag? Am I a red flag? Are we all red flags? Well, stay tuned to find out. Okay. Welcome guys, welcome to my YouTube channel again. Thank you for coming back. This is KWT, Can We Talk? Today is so interesting because I want to help save you from those relationships you should not be in. I want to help you free of charge. I'm not going to charge. I'm going to do it free of charge. I want to help you perceive and discern the red flags that are walking around you. And if you are an actual red flag, I'm going to expose you today. You're welcome. All right, so can we talk about this? Can we talk? Yes, we can. Let's get right into it. So I'll be very quick. I'm going to give you about 11 things to look out for. There's a whole lot more. But if you see any of these 11 things just rearing up its head in your relationship, you just whiff a little bit of it, you sniff it, you see it, you observe it, it is a red flag, and you need to run the exact opposite direction. You need to run far away, carry your heart and your brain, and run in the same direction. Don't follow your heart, follow the flags, or rather, follow the other direction from the flags. All right, there's some things I'll mention that may be yellow flags or orange flags. They're not a deal breaker, but there are a lot of things that once you see them, I'm going to help you. I'm going to help your marital and relationship destiny today, to save you all the stress of talking stage. Are you not tired? You have talking stage, then you move to more than talking stage. You now enter situationship first, then you now enter relationship. Then they now break your heart. Then you rinse and repeat. Let's help you. Let's get you to the promised land. Amen. Are you ready? Let's start right away. The first thing I would say to look out for is this. When you see complacent or absent spirituality, and now I'm speaking to women and men who are believers, who are people of faith. But if you're not, hopefully you can also learn from this as well. There are things that you can practically know and use to help save you from all the trouble and hassle. But the first thing is complacent and absent spirituality. So how do you discover these things, right? Do these people initiate spiritual conversations? Do they start out off by talking these things, or do they always follow your lead, right? Are they complacent, or do they even not talk about these things at all? In all your conversations, there's no mention about faith, about God, about the scriptures, about prayer, none of that. They don't go to church. They're not part of a community of faith. Like, is that the case with your partner, or the person you're considering to be in a relationship with? You can ask about their salvation experience. What was it like when you got saved? And you'll be able to tell if it's genuine. Gone are the days where you say, oh, are you a Christian? Yes. And, oh, why are you a Christian? I go to church. My parents are pastors and I pay my tithes. I say, oh, nice. Perfect. You fit the bill. No, that's not who a Christian is. A Christian is someone who has a growing relationship with Jesus, who has received the life of Christ when they believed in the gospel of salvation. That is who a Christian is, not someone who was good on the outside and tried to make themselves look the part, but someone who received the grace of God even when they didn't look the part, and they were included and adopted as sons and daughters of God. I hope that makes sense. So ask those questions. Ask them, what is their God-given assignment? Where do they think that God has placed in their heart? Things like these are the questions to have in your conversations. Not every time, do you love me? Am I pretty? How's my makeup? Yeah, that's fine. But ask the real solid questions. Is there complacent spirituality? Do they stir you up onto good works, or is it just absent? It's devoid in all your conversations. So please do yourself some good service and ask this, okay? Number two, do they have loose values on sexual purity? If they do, it's a red flag. It's a red flag. If you have loose values on sexual purity. And how do you find out? Like, simply ask, what are your views on premarital sex? Now, people can be very smart. They might want to tell you what you want to hear. So another way of going about it is listen to how they say it. So I'll give you two instances. Imagine telling one person, oh, and what are your views on sexual purity? I personally believe that we should not have sex before marriage. I believe that. Now, there are two kinds of responses to that. There is, oh, okay, you don't, no sex, nothing, not even the in between, nothing. Oh, okay, nothing. Okay, good. Okay, okay. Yeah, I'm fine with it. I can manage. We'll work it out. We'll figure it out. It's fine. No, I'm with you on that. Right? It's okay with me. It's fine with me. That's response A. Response B is, oh, absolutely, babe. Absolutely. We're going to champion this together as much as God helps us. And these are the boundaries we're going to put in place. When you see proactivity, that's very different from indifference. The first one was indifference, the second one was proactivity. There's indifference in terms of, oh, okay, I really don't care although they do really care. The chances are they'll find a way to persuade you otherwise. Such a person who is okay with your choice or your decision is not really someone that holds to that value. Do you understand? I think it is significantly a red flag, because what I've seen happen a lot of times is people who start their relationships that way. Oh, he's fine with me, being able to do that, or she's fine with me, abstaining from sex before marriage, right? She's very fine with it. She said she is. And somehow those being fine or being okay with it can now start to translate with, oh, let's just, do this. It's not gonna, like, let's just, just both of us right now. Or I'm feeling this way. Can we not just, at the end of the day, we're going to get married after all, or we're almost engaged after all. So it's going to happen at the end of the day. I tell you, the chances are you're going to break those values that you have. You're going to compromise for sure. So listen to how they say it. Do they say it with confidence, with assurance? And where is it based on? A lot of people base their sexual purity goals or desires on, this is what my parents always said, or this is just always how I felt. No. Is it based on the prescription of the one who created it? Is it because God said this is the best and the only appropriate avenue to express sexual desires in the confines of a marriage? If the answer is based on scripture and the word, and their convictions are based on that, then that is a green flag, okay? But it's a red flag if the values are loose, if they're indifferent and not proactive about sexual purity, and not just by their words, but also by their actions. Are they proactively putting the boundaries in place, staying accountable to making sure that you both don't cross any lines that you shouldn't? All right, that is super important. Point number one, complacent spirituality or absent spirituality. Point number two, loose values on sexual purity. Let's go to number three. Number three, if they have a history of cheating. Now, this should be a red flag, and in many ways, it is a red flag. And the reason why I'm saying that is because if they've cheated on you, and they've had a history of cheating, it's been serial cheating, they can't be faithful or committed to one person, and they're moving from one person to another, and it many times reveals an underlying problem that they have, maybe some trauma in the past that is fueling that, or just something they had witnessed through exposure to their own family and whatnot, so it could be many of those things. But it can be a red flag, because eventually you may just be part of that statistic. You may be just the next number in that line of people that have been cheated on, and you need to save yourself from that baggage. You need to know this, right? But it's not always a red flag, because some people can, if you're looking from the lens of grace, people can do better. I believe that. Of course, it needs to be clear what happened. I remember watching a stupid show. I remember watching this TV show. It was a reality TV show, and one of the guys was on one season of the show. He was a reputable bad boy. He had made all the wrong mistakes. He was a playboy, moving from one person to another, even on the show and outside of the show. Then he came on another show for another season, and people knew him from the other show, and he had that reputation. But he was saying, "Oh no, I'm a changed person. I'm much better. I went through I've made better decisions since then. And he even said he went to therapy. And all those things sound nice on paper, but what actually happened in that season is he went back to his vomit. He went back to do the same things that he was doing back then because there was no real change. If there's anything like behavioral modification or character adjustment, it's only just temporary. There's nothing that really changes a man like the gospel of Christ Jesus, like salvation. Salvation is what changes our hearts. It takes away the stony heart from us and gives us a heart of flesh. That is salvation. It's a transformation of desires. Something spiritual and significant has to change, or else all the person is saying is nonsense. It's a lie. It is bound to happen again. So I'm saying from the standpoint of second chances and the grace of the Lord, it can be a yellow flag, something to investigate more, something to observe and see over a long time how faithful and committed is this person really. But it's a red flag if this person has not had any of significant moment where they retraced their steps and wanted to do better. Do you understand what I'm saying? So you want to enter a relationship with someone, this person just got out of a relationship, and you want to date the person without asking, how did your last relationship end? That is a big mistake. You need to know what happened so that whatever happened there does not happen with you. And some people might try to, summarize it and say, oh, we're just not compatible. Meanwhile, you cheated on that person. You need to call a spade a spade. Did you cheat on that person? Or you're abusive with that? Like, you need to be sure, how did that last relationship end? The one before that, how did that also end? So it's very important they ask those questions. How did the previous relationship disband? And then watch out for consistency, watch out for secrecy. These are things to, if the person doesn't tell you where they are per time, they're eluding your messages, they're ghosting, they're not as quick to respond. These are things to look out for. These are the tell signs if someone is faithful or not. All right, I'm giving this free of charge. I'm telling you, these are the things to look out for, right? Number 4, if they've had a history of sexual activity, a history of consistent multiple sexual activities, now this one falls in that same category. It can be a red flag easily if nothing has changed, if there has been no redefinition of their value system and their convictions. It falls in the same category. It's a red flag, but there's a yellow flag if we're going to do it from a standpoint of the gospel and what redemption can offer. I think that truly then that's a way to put it in that category. But it's a red flag to me, honestly, because what has changed, right? If you've been active sexually in that regard, you've probably been with multiple people, multiple men, your body count is wow, it's a lot. How can I trust that sex is meaningful to you anymore? How can I trust that I will not just be an object of sex? How can I be sure that I won't just be someone else that you want to just use and dump, right? So you need to ask that question. Like, was there a point of sexual purity renewal? Was there a point when you decided, hey, henceforth, I'm going to be... And I'm telling you, there are many stories of this, of people who have made that decision where they were active in their past and then they said, you know what, I've seen the value of sex, the design for it, and I'm going to stick to it. I'm going to abide by it. God is going to help me through this and I'll be better. And they have stuck to that decision. I've seen it many times, but that needs to happen. It needs to be clear that even if that sexual activity is with you and you've made that decision to be sexually pure, they need to make that decision as well for it to work, or else you will not be compatible in that regard, right? Understand their views of sex and relationship. Ask those questions. What are your views on sex and relationships? Have they really burnt the bridges that they had with their exes? That's very important. Or is your ex still very actively in your life? If it is, there's a problem there, because you didn't just date, you dated with sex. I hope you know there's a difference. For those of you who have that experience, you dated someone and you broke up. If you didn't have sex, the breakup will be painful, but there's a degree of painfulness that happens when it's a case of you broke up with someone you had intimacy with, you had sex with. It's far more painful because sex was designed to join two different people, to be one flesh. That was the purpose of sex in marriage, to make two one. So when you now try to separate two people who are one, it's like is like sticking a paper to another paper with glue and trying to separate that. Something is going to happen. They will never be whole again. Something is going to rip. Something is going to tear. It's going to be more painful than if you just placed two papers on top of each other and there was nothing that joined them. Do you understand what I'm saying? I hope you understand the analogy. So it's very important that you are sure that this person has cut all ties, burnt all bridges with their exes, and they're on a trajectory of sexual purity with meaningful and true, profound views on sex and relationship. So that's number 4. Number 5, history of violence or intense anger. So they've had anger issues in the past. That's also a red flag. You need to ask, like, okay, what is the worst you've done when you got angry? You need to find out what that looks like. How did they resolve conflicts when and being upset? How did they manage it now? Have they gotten help to sort that out? Are they still angry people? Is there all this pent up anger within them burning, just waiting to explode? And sadly, maybe you'll be the one that they explode on. You need to ask these questions, right? And yes, you can't really blame people. Many times these things come from what they've seen in their families, what they've picked up. But again, that doesn't deny the fact that you deserve the best. You deserve someone who will treat you well. You cannot be with someone that would lay a finger on you. And I mean it both ways. Yes, women even beating and shouting and abusing verbally men. I've seen that happen more. There's more of an emotional and verbal manipulative abuse that happens with women to men, and more of a physical abuse that happens from men to women, even though men too also can abuse verbally. But no matter what it is, you need to examine, is this done? Has this been handled? Especially when it comes to a history of something. I've heard this said before. You do something wrong once, it's called a mistake. You do something twice, hey, life happens. But then it happens 3 times, it's a pattern, right? It's a pattern that's forming. It happens more than 3 times, it's already a habit and becomes a part of you. And so because of that, it's important to know that, hey, this thing that has followed you for so long, I cannot be the magic the magic spell that just changes your life forever. Oh, baby, I know how I used to be. I used to be a bad guy. I used to be this. I used to be a player. But when I met you, girl, oh, you changed my life. You turned my life around. Oh, shit, Deputy Holy Spirit, well done. That's not how it works. It's not like that. The question is, has this person actually changed over a period of time, observable period of time? Has this person evidently grown, been different, gotten the help they need, maybe even psychologically, that you can say, no, this person knows how to handle conflict better this time, right? See them handle conflict before you make your decision to commit to them. All right. Number 6, present habits, bad habits, or addictions, right? Now this one, of course, I'll call this more of a yellow flag, to be honest. It can be a red flag, but I'll call it more of a yellow flag. When people are dealing with addictions, it doesn't mean that they cannot be better and they cannot be committed in a relationship. They can actually, but many times, if it's a sexual addiction, for example, it can skewer and disrupt the perspective this person has about sex and relationships. It can make things end up being very terrible. It affects their view, how they see you as a person versus as an object, and things like that. I've talked about that in a previous video. So it's very important. If it's a drug addiction, oh my goodness, that can be very terrible. If it's an alcohol addiction, if it's alcohol abuse or drug abuse, you set up yourself for a heck of a time. It's going to be terrible, and disastrous, honestly. So if there's an addiction, the question is, are they getting the help they need? Have they gone through a rehabilitation, right? Have they been rehabilitated? Have they gone through a process where they've detoxified from that thing? They are not dependent on it, because it's going to affect your finances if you commit with each other. Every money this person gets would go in the direction of their desires, which is the drugs. They'll use. I'm telling you, it's a mess if it's not solved. So please note that if you yourself are having and battling with one as well, get the help that you need, so that you're not coming with your baggage. They're coming with their baggage, and then you people have extra luggage. You know what happens when you have extra luggage? You pay for it. Yeah, that was good. Number 7. financial carelessness, or let me put financial irresponsibility. So if this person does not have a track record of being financially responsible, now I'm not saying you need to marry the wealthiest businessman in the country. I'm not saying the person needs to be extremely wealthy. When I started dating my babe, at the time, I wasn't earning much. In fact, I think she was earning more than I was. Yes, I think she was earning more than I was. Significant, just by a little bit, but it was significant still. She was earning more than I was at the time, and I was lavishing. I was really just taking care of her as much. I will save as much money as I can to take her out, give her a nice treat. And I was not a made man. I don't even think I'm a made man right now, but at least back then, before God blessed me with more, um, I was responsible. I always had savings every time. I had investments. Some of them failed, sadly, but I was always pragmatic about those things, right? I didn't squander my money. So you need to find someone who can manage that, because one of the leading causes, actually the foremost leading cause of divorces in marriages, is financial disputes. Like, that happens a whole lot, and that's true. Financial disputes, whether it's an appropriation of the financial spend, or it is a case of the person is not able to generate income. Like, these are major reasons that can attack a home. So you need to be wary about it. Ask about the person's savings. Watch out for generosity. Is this person generous? Are they tight-fisted, or are they liberal? Do they give? Do they support their families, friends, or even strangers? Watch out for this in generosity. Watch out for their how they manage their savings as well. These are things to look out for, right? Number 8, especially in this side of the world, and many of you might not know this, but this one particularly applies to Black people. Yes, I've done some research, and it seems like that's the case. Incompatible genotype. Yeah. I think in our school songs we should do Mary and John sitting on a tree. Kissing. Then they ask about genotype. Then they lock it down. I think that should be the sequence. Of course, you shouldn't be kissing. You should ask for genotype before you kiss. But you get the point. In most songs, it's just kissing, and then they marry, and then they have a baby, and they live happily ever after. Not in Africa. Sorry. In Africa, you need to ask, hey, hey, or hey, yes. You need to ask, where do you stand? And those of you who don't know what I'm talking about, there are a list of genotypes that are incompatible. And because if you marry someone with an incompatible genotype, your offspring, your child, may have a higher tendency of sickle cell anemia, right? Which, the life expectancy for any child that has that is very low, right? And personally, I have lost 2 friends to that, 2 dear friends who I called sister to that. And so I don't wish that on anyone. So I think right off the bat, to save yourself some heartache, you need to ask this question: what is your genotype? Now, the reason why you never really see that in Western cultures or more Caucasian and Western nations is because it's not a thing. It's actually not a thing. You can Google it. I think about only 100,000 people have sickle cell in the United States, and they're of African descent or Black heritage. Now, I don't know why that is. I'll probably do some more research. I really don't know why that is the case, but they don't really have that. They just have like genotype 1, genotype 2, and basically most genotypes are compatible. There's no such thing. But in Africa, it's something we have to consider and deal with ourselves. Sadly, I know. I'm sorry. I know. And maybe you've been in a place where you've had to go through that heartbreak because of something like this. I know some of my friends that were on they were on some women's matter, and then they now found out too late. Like, why? You've gone through talking stage, situationship, you bought flowers, you've cut all the grenades, then you now think, you now asked, what is your genotype? Hey, hairs. He's incompatible. Why did you do that to yourself? You shot yourself in the foot. You ask this question. I know a lot of people also don't ask the question directly because it almost gives an impression. So if I walk up to a lady and I say, oh, hi, and we're just talking, by the way, what's your genotype? I think a lot of ladies would just see that, like, why is this guy asking me for? Is he feeling me or something? Okay, my genotype is available. A for available. A. Always available. No, that's not it. Ask ask these questions from the start. What is your genotype? To know if you're compatible. Some people I've seen people who wing it. Oh yeah, AS, I'm AS. Let's do our thing. That is very risky. That is very risky. It's very risky. The chances that your child is not sickle cell are very slim. Right? I know people who will say, "Oh, this is the testimony. If you believe God, love will prevail." That's fine. Unless you both have decided you're not going to have biological children, you want to adopt fully. That's another route to take. If especially you are so in love, you believe this is the person you want to do life with. That's allowed, right? I think adoption is the will of God. The fact that we were adopted as sons says a lot, right? I think adoption is healthy. I think it's great if done well, right? So yeah, ask those questions, right? It's a priority to ask before you commit fully emotionally with this person. Ask that question especially if you're African. And even aside from genotype, ask for other things. Is there a history of a particular disease in your family? This it's okay to ask that question. I mean, it's your choice. Is there a history of this disease? What things happen in your family that are historical that I should know about? Right. It helps. It helps know. It helps you to make a decision. Number 9. Tribalistic or racial rigidity. Right. It can be a red flag. It's not necessarily on you or the person. Now, if someone doesn't like someone of a different tribe, that's on them, and you guys can just go your separate ways. But I've seen people who pretend they know that they don't want to marry someone of a Yoruba tribe or Igbo tribe. They don't want to marry that person, but they just put up with it, and later on they find out that I never really actually liked this tribe in the first place. I think all Yoruba women are this, or all Igbo women are like that, and you see all these things happen. But many times I've found that it's actually from the parents of both parties. It's more from the parents of both parties and not from the couple or the people involved in the relationship. So are your parents willing to compromise on this? Are they willing to budge? Are they willing to allow you? I've seen some extreme cases where, in fact, it's not just about tribe, it's about village. This, you must marry from our exact village. And I'm like, why? Especially you hear it from Christian parents and you're surprised. You're like, what? Christian parents who we know that there's no tribe in Christ except the tribe of Zion, right? The tribe of Zion. There's no tribe in God's eyes. We are all the same, in God's eyes. So like, you should know, if anything, more than the average person, that those things don't matter really. But people have their preferences. So if you feel like your parents, in that regard, they won't budge, they're a bit, assertive about it, get some third-party help, someone to support you on that, to help convince them. If they don't have anybody, man, your only options are to either elope or pray for some miracle, right? Of course, I don't advocate for the former. I think that marriages should happen with the blessings of both parties. It's usually a union of two families, so it's something to remember. But honestly, have those conversations. What are your parents like? What do they believe? Are they okay with a Yoruba girl? Are they okay with an Igbo guy or an Hausa guy? Are they fine? In fact, are they even fine with someone of a different nationality, an Indian or a Jamaican or a Singaporean? Are they fine with me marrying someone who is white or another tribe? These are things to ask, and very important. So that's number 9. Number 10. Does this person have a strong misogynistic or misandrist views? Right. When someone is assertive in their sexist ways, they just say these things that shouldn't be said. For example, the guy says, "Oh no, maybe the girlfriend of the guy cooks a meal for him in the house. Went to visit her, she cooks. He said, nice, you did your job well." And he says those things, great job, like your place really is in the kitchen. And he's saying those things and you're upset and you're just letting it slide. You will explode one day. And it tells a lot about the kind of person you're with. And some ladies also say the same thing, that are androgynistic to guys. So Again, discern those things, hear what they're not saying, even by their actions as well. Like, are they people, do they treat me as equal? Would they put me on a pedestal that affords me equal opportunities, or would they try to subjugate and suppress me? A lot of women end up being disempowered and slaves in their own homes, slaves in the kitchen, because they didn't have a man who saw them as equal, right? Oh, or a woman, don't speak. I'm speaking to my, I've heard things like that. I'm speaking to my guests. Can't you see I'm speaking? Don't speak. Will you leave outside? I've heard things like that. You've seen the signs. If you've had a whiff of it, I'm telling you, it's only going to get worse when you get married. Marriage doesn't give a magic spell that that disappears all that ails. Marriage, if anything, reveals the things that have been hidden even more, right? So look out for that. And the last point is this as I close: poor communication or mismatched energy. This is a big red flag. If the person you're talking to does not respond to your texts, I mean, 5 days have passed and you've not spoken to this person once, you have mismatched energy. This person you are giving your all. You're saying, oh babe, thank you for today, like I'm so grateful, you made me, one long paragraph you've written, and the guy now replies, oh cool, oh great, nice, are you in Chicken Republic? Nice. Interesting things. I mean, guys, look out for those things. If this person is not bringing the energy, many times from my experience, I've seen that if someone is not bringing as much energy as they used to, as much attention as they used to give you before, it means their attention is being diverted. Now, it could be in anything. It could be in their work, rightly so. It could be in a project they're working on. It could be in their devotion, whatever. But many times, more than not, it's that their attention is being diverted to someone else. Take note. So please do yourself a good service. Does this person communicate? If they're not communicating, they're probably giving the attention to someone else, communicating better with someone else, and they'll probably give excuses. Oh, it's because I'm tired, or it's because I'm sick. If someone really matters to you, you'll make the effort no matter what. All right, save yourself the trouble. If it's not communicating, if it's not bringing that energy you are also bringing, and the affection, I'm telling you, save yourself the heartache. That's a red flag. I hope these red flags have helped you. We may have a second part to this soon. But let me know what stood out to you in the comments. What do you think helped you? What do you think you're going to put to practice? Maybe share a story of something that has happened with you like this. And I'd love to hear from you. Again, like, comment, subscribe, and share with your friends, family, or frenemies. I'm sure this will help them. Till next time, my people. See ya. I love you so much. And take care.
Actually, girls listen to Raz music. Like, I don't want to mention names, but Raz music.
My red flag in a guy is when a guy flirts with many girls. Like, why are you flirting? Get out.
My red flag in a relationship will be a dirty person. I hate dirty things. I don't like
Guys that have mouth odor. Guys that are very stingy. Like, why would you be stingy? For what now? A guy that like.
My red flag in a guy is body odor. I bet why you go this me?
Well, my red flag in a guy is the ability not to communicate your feelings. Like, why won't you communicate?
Like,
I used to say the truth.
my red flag in a guy is when the guy talks too much. As a guy, why will you be talking? You don't have a close mouth.